Until when? No. Until when will you wake up with a heavy chest and call it normal? Until when will you smile while your soul collapses? You know this pain. Is this really all you became? The worst part is not that you are tired. The worst part is that you are used to it. Used to disrespect, used to being ignored, used to watching dreams rot because you keep saying, tomorrow. Tomorrow. That beautiful little lie. Tomorrow I'll change. Tomorrow I'll pray with focus. Tomorrow I'll become disciplined. But tomorrow keeps coming, and you stay the same. Until when? Until when will you betray yourself quietly, with small betrayals, sleeping when you promised you would rise, scrolling when you should be building, and then you wonder why your heart feels empty? Pain is not punishment. Sometimes pain is a warning. Wake up. Wake up. Wake up before youth becomes regret. Wake up before potential becomes a ghost. Wake up before chances die and still choose weakness. Funny, isn't it? You want respect, but you break promises. You want peace, but you feed garbage to your mind. Until when? Until when will you watch yourself fall apart and call it just a phase? No, not anymore. This is not the end. Stop lying to yourself. Because the truth is simple. You are not waiting for the perfect moment. You are hiding from the first painful step. Every time you hide, something inside you gets weaker. Not because life defeated you, because you agreed. You agreed to stay small. You agreed to be distracted. You agreed to let emotions command you. You call it stress. You call it sadness, you call it bad luck. But sometimes it is avoidance wearing a mask. You know what hurts? You still have time. You still have a body that can move. You still have a heart that can return to what is right. But you keep wasting mercy as if it is guaranteed. No. Do not wait until everything is gone before you become serious. Start while your hands are shaking. Start while your heart is heavy. Start while nobody claps. Start while people doubt you. Let your past laugh. Your past can mock you. Your regrets can scream. But they cannot stop one honest decision made today. One prayer with presence. 1 hour of work, 1 refused temptation, 1 silent boundary. That is how a man returns. Not with noise, not with speeches, with discipline in private. But you keep wanting the world to notice your pain. Why? So they can pity you? So they can comfort weakness you should bury? No, no, no. Comfort is sweet, too sweet. Be honest before you become ruined. Until when will you keep choosing poison and asking why your soul feels sick? Enough. Today, stop negotiating with what destroys your future. Stop obeying every feeling. Strength is not anger. Strength is control. Strength is patience. Strength is doing right when your heart is tired, especially then. Do not tell me you are waiting for motivation. Motivation is a visitor. Discipline is a house. You do not build life by waiting for a feeling. You build it by obeying truth when feelings are loud. Some days your chest will be heavy. Your mind will whisper, "Not today." That is exactly when you begin. The old you moves when it is comfortable. The new you moves when it is necessary. It is necessary now. Look at what delay has done. It stole your focus. It weakened your body. It made dreams feel far away. But you are not defeated. You are distracted. You are wounded, yes, but wounds are not chains. Stop worshiping your mood. Your mood is not your master. Your sadness is not your identity. Your past is not prison. Return to what is right. Return to prayer. Return to your work. You thought strength would feel heroic? No. Most days it feels lonely. It feels like saying no while every weak part screams yes. That is the test. You need control. Control your tongue. Control your time. Control your anger. Control your habits. If you do not control yourself, everything else will. Then you will say, life is unfair. Maybe it is, but wasting your life makes it worse. So listen. Do one thing that scares the lazy version of you. Close the app. Write the plan. Train the body. Ask forgiveness. No announcement, no drama, just obedience. Until when will you ask for a new life while protecting the old one? Enough. A man changes when his excuses become disgusting to him. Let them become disgusting. Then stand up. There comes a point where the soul stops asking for comfort. It begins asking for truth. Not the sweet truth people decorate, the heavy truth, the one that sits in the chest like stone. A wasted life does not always look dramatic. Sometimes it looks normal. A normal morning, a normal phone, a normal excuse. Quietly, years disappear. A man does not collapse only because of storms. Sometimes he collapses because of agreements with weakness. One ignored prayer, one wasted hour. Then the heart wonders why peace feels far away. Peace does not live where the soul keeps betraying itself. Discipline is mercy before regret arrives. Regret arrives quietly. It sits beside the bed. It shows what could have been. And when regret speaks, it asks one question. Until when? Until when will potential be buried under comfort? Until when will minds be poisoned? There is no honor in being ruled by every mood. There is no dignity in calling weakness personality. There is no strength in anger without self-control. Anger makes noise. Discipline builds silently. A loud man is easy to find. A controlled man is rare. He guards his tongue, keeps his promise, works when nobody watches, prays when the heart is tired. That is strength, not chaos, not revenge, not showing off. Seriousness is not born in comfort. It is born in darkness, the broken heart, the silent humiliation. That is where the old self is judged. And if it keeps choosing excuses, the future will not be stolen, it will be surrendered. No more surrender. A quiet return begins with one clean decision. No applause, no audience, just repentance, discipline, patience, work. And when the soul stops surrendering, the whole world feels different. Not easier, different. The same pain remains, the same memories remain, the same people may still laugh, the same wounds may still ache in silence. But something changes inside. The heart no longer begs every feeling for permission. It learns to move with heaviness, to work with sadness, to pray with a tired chest, to remain clean in a dirty world. That is where real strength begins, not in noise, not in applause, not in pretending to be untouched. Real strength begins when pain is no longer an excuse, when betrayal no longer becomes a reason to become corrupt, when loneliness no longer becomes a reason to chase poison, when humiliation no longer becomes a reason to lose control. There is discipline that only wounded people understand. The discipline of staying silent when anger begs to speak. The discipline of walking away when pride begs to prove. The discipline of lowering the gaze when desire pulls. The discipline of returning to prayer when the heart feels ashamed. That is not weakness. That is victory hidden from the crowd. Because the crowd loves explosions. It loves drama. It loves noise. It loves watching people break in public. But the deepest battles do not happen on stages. They happen in rooms, in silence, in the chest, in the mind, in the moment before a wrong choice is made. That moment decides everything. 1 second, 1 breath. A person either obeys the old weakness or buries it again. The old weakness never dies politely. It screams, it bargains, it cries. It pretends to be tired. It pretends to be reasonable. Just rest, just delay, just react, just return, just taste it once, just waste one more night. And that is how chains are rebuilt, not by enemies, by agreement. A cage is strongest when the prisoner calls it comfort. A poison is most dangerous when it tastes familiar. A wasted life is most tragic when it looks normal from the outside. Until when? Until when will seriousness be treated like something optional? Until when will time be thrown away and later called destiny? Until when will the heart be filled with noise and then wonder why guidance feels distant? No life becomes noble by accident. No character becomes strong by wishing. No soul becomes clean while feeding every desire. A person does not rise by dreaming about change. A person rises when the old self is denied again and again and again. Quietly. No announcement, no performance, no need to prove pain to anyone. Only a return to order, a return to patience, a return to discipline, a return to God with a heart that is tired, but still honest. And honesty is powerful, because even a broken heart, when it becomes sincere, can begin again. The past may still whisper, regret may still visit, the night may still feel heavy, but the answer must change. Now is the only door that ever opens. Later is a hallway with no end. Many souls have been trapped there, not by enemies, not by chains, not by fate, by delay. Delay is quiet. It does not look like destruction at first. It looks like rest. It sounds reasonable. It feels harmless. One postponed prayer, one postponed beginning, one postponed discipline. Then suddenly years have passed, and the heart stands in the ruins of promises made with tears. That is a heavy place, a place where the eyes are tired from seeing what could have been, a place where the chest feels crowded with unfinished versions of the self. And still, the question returns, until when? Until when will the soul keep asking for a new life while protecting old habits? Until when will regret be respected more than responsibility? There is no dignity in being dragged by every desire. There is no wisdom in obeying every emotion. There is no peace in pretending the wound is healing while the knife of habit remains. A person may smile in public and still be losing a war in private. A person may appear alive while something sacred inside is begging to be rescued. But rescue does not always arrive as comfort. Sometimes it arrives as a hard truth. Sometimes it arrives as shame that wakes the conscience. Sometimes it arrives as loneliness that exposes false attachments. The weak self hates exposure. It wants darkness. It wants noise. It wants excuses. It does not want responsibility, because responsibility is heavy. But heaviness is not always bad. A seed is buried before it rises. A heart breaks before it becomes honest. A soul is humbled before it returns. And still the old self whispers, just escape, just numb it. Just delay, just react, just complain, just sleep. No. Enough worshiping comfort. Enough making excuses sound intelligent. Enough calling weakness personality. Enough calling distraction peace. Enough calling laziness healing. Healing is not rotting quietly. Healing is returning to order when the heart is tired. Healing is choosing what is right while the ego is screaming. Healing is standing before God with an honest heart, not a perfect one. Not perfect, honest. That difference matters. Perfection makes people hide. Honesty makes people return. A sincere return can begin in a room nobody sees. No camera, no praise, no speech. Just a tired human being lowering the head, admitting the truth, and choosing one clean step. One clean step can terrify the old self. because one step means the prison is not locked. One step means the excuse was not stronger than the will. One step means the story can still change. And perhaps that is what the soul fears most. Not failure, change. Real change. Because real change demands a funeral, the burial of habits, the burial of false identities, the burial of the version that needed pity more than progress. A new life cannot be carried by old hands that refuse to let go. So the question remains, not as an insult, not as despair, as a final knock on the door of the heart. Until when? Until the excuses lose their throne, until discipline becomes mercy, until silence becomes strength, until the heart stops negotiating with darkness and begins returning to light. And that return does not need to be loud. It only needs to be real. And when the return becomes real, the first enemy is not the world. It is habit. Habit does not shout. It does not arrive with a monster's face. It comes wearing the same old comfort, the same old excuse, the same old voice saying, "This can wait." That voice has buried too many lives. Not in graves made of soil, in rooms full of screens, in nights full of delay, in hearts full of almost. Almost changed, almost started, almost returned, almost became serious. Almost is a painful word. It has the smell of regret before regret arrives. Buried intentions, buried promises, buried prayers, buried discipline. And still the face looks normal. The mouth laughs, the body moves. But inside, there is a quiet courtroom. The heart brings evidence, the time that was wasted, the signs that were ignored, the warnings that were postponed, the mercy that was treated like it would never end. Until when? Until when will comfort speak louder than conscience? Until when will discipline be treated like punishment instead of protection? Until when will a soul ask for peace while feeding the things that steal it? Peace is not random. Peace has a price. Not money, not attention, not applause. Purity, patience, order, honesty, self-control. These are not soft words. These are weapons of the inner war. Not a war against people, not a war for revenge, not a war of arrogance. A war against the lower self when it begs to rule. The lower self is clever. It knows how to sound tired. It knows how to sound hurt. It knows how to turn laziness into philosophy. It knows how to make sin look like relief. It knows how to make discipline look cruel. Just one more night. Just one more escape. Just one more hour wasted. Just one more return to what broke the heart. And every one more becomes a chain. Every chain becomes a personality, Every personality becomes a destiny if it is not broken by truth. But truth does not need noise. Truth can enter quietly. A tired chest, a lowered head, a sincere whisper in the dark. And in that hidden moment, a life can turn. Not because the past vanished, because the direction changed. Direction matters. A person falling while facing return is not the same as a person sleeping comfortably in disobedience to the truth. A broken heart trying to rise is not the same as a proud heart defending collapse. There is honor in sincere struggle. There is dignity in standing again after shame. There is mercy in being awakened before the final loss. The end is not written by the wound. The end is written by what the soul does after it bleeds. And bleeding does not excuse corruption. Pain does not excuse cruelty. Betrayal does not excuse becoming false. A wounded person can still choose clean hands. A tired heart can still choose prayer. A disappointed soul can still choose patience. That is the beauty of return. It does not require a perfect past. It requires a truthful present. One clean decision, then another, then another. Small steps, but not small in meaning. Because every honest step is an announcement to the unseen parts of the soul. The old agreement is over. Comfort is no longer king. Mood is no longer law. Fear is no longer a throne. Delay is no longer a home. And maybe the world will not notice at first. That is fine. The deepest changes are not made for witnesses. They are made because the heart can no longer tolerate living as a stranger to its own purpose. Until when? Until the answer becomes action. Until regret becomes discipline. Until pain becomes wisdom. Until silence becomes worship, restraint, work, and strength. And when that begins, even the darkest night loses authority. And when the darkest night loses authority, the soul begins to hear something it had forgotten. Not applause, not praise, not the noise of people. It hears conscience, that quiet witness inside the chest, the one that never truly disappeared, the one that watched every compromise, every delay, every hidden fall, every secret regret. Conscience does not hate, it warns. But when warning is ignored for too long, it begins to feel like pain. And pain, when understood correctly, can become mercy. Not the soft kind, the hard mercy. The mercy that shakes a sleeping heart before the years are gone. Some awakenings are not beautiful. Some awakenings come with shame, with tears, with silence, with a hand over the chest at night. No music, no heroic scene, no crowd. Just a soul realizing that escape has become expensive. Every escape had a price. Every distraction took a piece of focus. Every false attachment took a piece of dignity. Every wasted night took a piece of tomorrow. And still, life continued offering chances. Morning after morning, breath after breath, sign after sign. Until when? Until when will chances be treated like they are endless? Until when will the body carry a soul that refuses to rise? Until when will the heart know the truth and still bow to comfort? There is a frightening moment in every life, the moment when excuses stop sounding convincing, the moment when the same old lie tastes bitter, the moment when the mask becomes heavier than the face. That is when the old self panics, because it knows. It knows the performance is ending. It knows the false identity is cracking. It knows the soul has seen the door. So it starts negotiating. Just be normal. Just forget this feeling. Just return tomorrow. Just calm down. Just stay comfortable. Just don't change too much. No, that voice is not wisdom. That voice is fear wearing familiar clothes. A life does not become clean by obeying the same voice that made it dirty. A heart does not become strong by protecting the habits that broke it. Strength begins when the argument ends. No more endless debates with weakness. No more explaining discipline to desire. No more asking comfort for permission to grow. Order must return, slowly, quietly, honestly. A protected morning, a guarded tongue, a cleaner screen, a better circle, a sincere prayer, a body trained through discomfort, a mind fed with truth instead of poison. This is not dramatic. That is why it is powerful. Real change rarely looks entertaining. It looks boring to the world. Repeating what is right, rejecting what is harmful, showing up without being seen, holding the self accountable when nobody is watching. That is where character is formed, not in speeches, in repetition. A person becomes what is repeated in secret. Repeated excuses create weakness. Repeated discipline creates dignity. Repeated repentance creates softness in the heart. Repeated patience creates strength that does not need to shout. The world may celebrate talent, but the soul is saved by sincerity. And sincerity is heavy, because sincerity removes the costume. It exposes the truth. No more pretending to be too broken to try. No more pretending to be too tired to return. No more pretending that sadness is a permanent identity. Sadness may visit, but it must not rule. Pain may remain, but it must not become a throne. Regret may speak, but it must not become a home. The old self wanted sympathy. The awakened soul wants responsibility. And responsibility is not pretty. It is waking up when comfort begs for sleep. It is leaving what poisons the heart while the lower self still wants it. It is standing in front of unfinished work and saying, enough. Enough delay, enough self-pity, enough spiritual laziness, enough feeding the mind filth and asking why peace disappeared. And when the old chaos begins to starve, it does not die quietly. It shakes the walls. It sends memories. It sends cravings. It sends old doors, old wounds, old versions of comfort. Because anything that ruled a soul for years will not leave after one clean decision. That is why return must become a system, not a feeling. Feelings rise and fall, moods change. Pain speaks loudly at night. Weakness pretends to be wisdom when the body is tired. but a system remains. A fixed prayer, a protected morning, a disciplined body, a cleaner tongue, a guarded gaze, a mind trained to refuse poison. This is how a broken inner world begins to rebuild. Not through noise, not through fake confidence, not through revenge fantasies, through order. Order is mercy. Chaos feels exciting in the beginning, but later, chaos becomes humiliation. It steals sleep. It steals focus. It steals purity. It steals the ability to sit alone without being attacked by regret. And still, many defend it. They call chaos freedom. They call discipline prison. They call self-control boring. Strange. The same habits that empty the heart are protected like treasure. The lower self is a comedian when it wants control. It makes destruction sound reasonable. It makes delay sound mature. It makes wasted time sound like rest. It makes surrender sound like healing. But healing without responsibility is only decay with nicer words. A wound does not heal because it is named. A soul does not rise because it is understood. A life does not change because tears were shed in the dark. Change begins when truth becomes heavier than the excuse, when regret becomes useful, when shame becomes humility, when sadness becomes discipline. Until when? Until when will the heart keep decorating the prison? Until when will potential be treated like a story for later? Until when will time be offered to distractions while the soul begs for meaning? There is a serious kind of mercy in this question. It does not come to insult, it comes to awaken. It stands at the door before the years become heavy, before the body loses energy, before the mind becomes too used to darkness, before regret becomes a permanent guest. Because regret is not only pain. Regret is memory with judgment. It remembers every chance, every sign, every warning, every moment when the right path was clear and the easier path was chosen. And the easiest path is rarely innocent. Sometimes it is sweet poison. A little comfort, a little sin, a little escape, a little delay, a little lie whispered to the self. Then the little things gather. Small betrayals become a character. Small delays become a destiny. Small impurities become a fog over the heart. And then peace feels far away, not because mercy disappeared, because the inner room became crowded with what never belonged there. So the room must be cleaned, not decorated, not explained, not justified, cleaned. The heart cannot host poison and expect peace to sit beside it. There must be removal. Removal of habits that weaken the will. Removal of voices that normalize decay. Removal of images that dirty the mind. Removal of excuses that protect the old self. Every serious return has losses. Loss of comfort, loss of false circles, loss of lazy nights, loss of the cheap identity that survived on pity. But those losses are not punishment, they are purification. Sometimes the soul becomes lighter only after what harmed it is taken away. The early days of return can feel lonely. No applause, no visible transformation, no dramatic reward, just resistance. But inside, a line has been drawn. And when darkness loses another throne, the inner kingdom does not celebrate immediately. It becomes quiet. Because true change is not a parade, it is a judgment. A hidden court opens inside the chest. The past stands there. The habits stand there. The excuses stand there with nervous little smiles. And the soul watches. No screaming, no audience, no applause, only evidence. The wasted mornings, the poisoned nights, the promises made with tears and buried under comfort. That court is terrifying, because nothing can be edited there. Nothing can be performed. The record is honest. But honesty is not the enemy. Honesty is the blade that cuts the rope. A person does not become free by denying the chain. A person becomes free by seeing it clearly, then refusing to kiss it again. And the chain always has a name: delay, desire, pride, fear, noise, attachment, comfort. Comfort. That soft little prison, that warm little grave, that beautiful mask on a dying routine. Many lives do not end with disaster. They end by becoming acceptable. Acceptable weakness, acceptable distraction, acceptable distance from purpose, acceptable emptiness behind a normal face. And that is more dangerous than obvious ruin. Because obvious ruin alarms the heart, but normal ruin sings lullabies. Until when? Until when will the clock be allowed to testify against the soul? Until when will days be counted, but not used? Until when will breath enter the body while purpose remains outside the door? There is a moment when time stops feeling like time. It begins feeling like a witness. Every hour says, I was given. Every morning says, I returned. Every chance says, I knocked. And if no answer comes, silence becomes an answer. Not the noble silence of patience, the guilty silence of escape. Still, the door is not closed. That is the frightening mercy. Because as long as breath remains, return remains possible. But possible does not mean promised. Possible does not mean later. Possible does not mean safe to waste. A chance can become a witness. A sign can become evidence. A warning can become regret. And regret is most brutal when it remembers that the way back was open. So the heart must stop waiting for beauty. The return may begin ugly, with shaking hands, with a tired body, with a mind still noisy, with a chest still heavy. That does not cancel the return. A sincere step does not need perfect emotions. A clean decision does not need a clean history. A disciplined morning does not need a painless night before it. Shame can be a door if it humbles, if it softens, if it makes the heart kneel instead of hide. A heart that hides becomes harder. A heart that returns becomes alive. Tomorrow does not belong to delay. Tomorrow belongs to what is built in silence today. No noise is needed. Only a return to the small, sacred things. A truthful tongue, a disciplined hour, a protected gaze, a cleaner thought, a sincere prayer, a body that obeys purpose more than comfort. The world may not clap for that, but the soul will know. And that knowing becomes strength, quiet strength, private strength, the kind that does not beg to be seen. This is where the old question changes shape. It is no longer only pain, it becomes command. Until when? Until the false comfort is exposed, until the hidden court is answered with action. That is how a person becomes real. Not perfect, real. And real does not need decoration. Real stands in the dark without pretending the dark is beautiful. Real admits the wound. Real admits the weakness. Real admits the wasted time. But real does not kneel to them. That is the difference. Some people carry pain like an excuse. Others carry pain like a warning from the soul. A warning that says, return before the heart becomes numb. Return before the eyes get used to emptiness. Return before delay becomes a grave with a soft pillow. Because the old self will always ask for one more night, one more escape, one more lie, one more comfortable fall. But the awakened heart answers differently. No more. No more selling purpose for comfort. No more calling weakness peace. No more waiting for life to become easy before becoming disciplined. A serious soul begins now.